What if one of the cheapest, most overlooked foods in the grocery store could actually reset the way your body handles hunger, energy, and cravings in just 5 days? Not a pill, not a powder, not a program that costs you money every month. Just sardines. Now, before you click away, stay with me, because what happens inside your body when you eat sardines consistently, even for a short stretch, is genuinely surprising. And most people never find out because they judge the can before they open it. Here's what this video is about. We're going to walk through what may actually happen, day by day, when sardines become your primary protein and fat source for 5 days. We're going to cover the science simply, honestly, and without exaggeration. No fake promises, no scare tactics. Just real nutritional logic that could genuinely change the way you think about food control, cravings, and energy. If you've been dealing with constant hunger, afternoon crashes, brain fog, bloating, or that frustrating cycle of starting over every Monday, this video was made for you. And if this sounds like something that might help you or someone you know, go ahead and hit the like button right now. It helps more people find this kind of content. Let's get into it. Let's start with why sardines are even worth talking about nutritionally, because this is the foundation of everything. A single can of sardines, packed in water or olive oil, typically contains somewhere around 20 to 25 grams of complete protein. That means it contains all the essential amino acids your body needs but cannot make on its own. For a food that costs less than $2, that's remarkable. But the protein is just the beginning. Sardines are also one of the richest natural sources of omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, the forms your body can use directly. These are the same omega-3s that researchers study in relation to heart health, inflammation, and brain function. Because sardines are small and short-lived, they accumulate far fewer environmental toxins compared to large predatory fish. On top of that, sardines are packed with vitamin B12, which supports energy metabolism and nerve function. They contain calcium, especially when you eat the soft bones, which are completely safe to eat. They carry vitamin D, selenium, and an amino acid called taurine that plays a role in cardiovascular and metabolic health. Compare that to the average daily diet: heavy in processed carbohydrates, low in quality protein, nearly absent of natural omega-3s. And you start to see why this simple fish might do something noticeable in a short amount of time. So what actually happens when you commit to sardines as your main food for the first couple of days? Day 1 tends to feel different depending on how you normally eat. If your usual diet includes a lot of bread, pasta, crackers, sugary drinks, or processed snacks, the first thing that happens is a dramatic shift in carbohydrate intake. Sardines contain almost no carbohydrates, so when sardines replace your high-carb meals, your body's blood sugar response changes immediately. Here's a simplified version of what's happening inside. Your body normally runs on glucose, which comes from carbohydrates. When glucose is high, your pancreas releases insulin to manage it. Insulin is your storage hormone. Its job is to take that energy and either use it or park it, often as fat. When insulin stays elevated throughout the day, fat burning is largely paused. That's not a flaw. That's just how the system works. When you drop your carbohydrate intake significantly, even for one day, insulin levels begin to fall. Your body stops relying on constant glucose. It starts turning towards stored glycogen in your liver and muscles for fuel. Glycogen holds water with it. As glycogen depletes, that water gets released. Many people notice they feel slightly less puffy or bloated within the first day or two. The scale may move. That's mostly water, not fat, but it's a real signal that something has shifted. Day 1 can also bring cravings. Your brain is used to its glucose pattern. If you've been eating processed food regularly, your hunger signals are partially driven by habit and blood sugar swings, not actual need. Sardines won't satisfy a cookie craving. That's honest. But they will satisfy real hunger because the protein and fat content is high enough to keep you full for several hours. By the end of day 1, most people feel something they didn't expect. They're not hungry the way they usually are. That's the satiety signal from protein doing its job. Then comes day 2, and this is where it gets more interesting. By day 2, your body has adjusted to the lower carbohydrate baseline. Insulin is lower, glycogen is partially depleted. Your metabolism is beginning to shift toward fat as a fuel source. This process is sometimes called metabolic flexibility, your body's ability to switch between glucose and fat depending on what's available. For people who have been eating high carb for years, this shift can take time, but even in 2 days, you may begin to notice that hunger feels different, less sharp, less urgent, more stable. Some people feel slightly tired or mentally foggy on day 2. That's a normal adjustment. Your brain is recalibrating. Keep water intake high. Make sure you're eating enough sardines. Don't try to starve yourself through this. The goal is a nutrient reset, not a restriction contest. The first real reward often arrives here. Meals feel satisfying without feeling heavy. You finish eating, and you're genuinely full, not just distracted. That's a feeling worth noticing. Now let's talk about omega-3s, because this is one of the most quietly powerful things sardines bring to the table. EPA and DHA, the omega-3s found abundantly in sardines, have been studied extensively for their role in reducing chronic, low-grade inflammation. Most people walking around today carry more inflammation in their bodies than they realize. It doesn't always show up as obvious pain. It often shows up as fatigue, puffiness, joint discomfort, mood instability, or just feeling off. When omega-3 intake increases, research suggests the body may begin to shift its inflammatory balance. This doesn't happen overnight. But within a few days of consistent intake, some people report feeling physically more comfortable, slightly less stiff in the morning, slightly clearer in the head. Your brain is also made of a large proportion of DHA. When dietary DHA increases, some research points toward possible improvements in mental clarity and mood stability. The mechanism is real, even if individual results vary. Now, a common question always comes up here, and it's a fair one. What about mercury? This is worth addressing clearly and honestly. Mercury is a real concern with certain fish, specifically large, long-lived predatory fish like tuna, swordfish, and shark. These fish accumulate mercury through the food chain over their long lifespans. Sardines are different. They are small, they live short lives, and they feed on tiny plankton rather than other fish. This means they have significantly lower mercury levels compared to larger fish species. Multiple food safety organizations recognize sardines as among the lower mercury fish options. That said, no food is completely without nuance. If you have specific health concerns, are pregnant, have a compromised kidney or thyroid, or are managing a condition that involves dietary restrictions, please check with a qualified clinician before making any significant food change. This video is for general educational purposes only. Now, let's get to day 3, because this is the part most people don't expect. By day 3, something tends to shift more noticeably. The metabolic adjustment is largely complete for most people. Hunger has calmed down in a meaningful way. Cravings for high sugar or high carb foods, while still present, are noticeably quieter. Your appetite hormones, particularly ghrelin, which drives hunger signals, tend to respond well to adequate protein intake. With enough sardines each day, you may find yourself eating less overall, not because you're forcing yourself to, but because your body simply isn't demanding more. Mental clarity often improves around day 3. Some people describe it as the mental noise settling. Brain fog is a vague term, but many people know exactly what it feels like, that slow, foggy, unfocused state that makes mornings hard and afternoons useless. With stable blood sugar, lower insulin, and increased omega-3 intake, the conditions for sharper thinking are better than they were on day 1. Energy tends to feel more even, less spiking, less crashing, more like a steady background hum rather than a roller coaster. Let's expand on a few more benefits, because this is where the full picture comes together. Bloating is something millions of people deal with every day, and processed food is one of the biggest culprits. Many people don't realize how much of their habitual bloating comes from gut fermentation of refined carbohydrates, artificial additives, or excess sugar. When sardines replace those foods, the digestive landscape changes. The gut has less fermentable material to work with. Bloating often decreases noticeably by day 3 or 4. Hunger between meals also changes. When meals are built around high protein and healthy fat, blood sugar stays more stable. You're not riding the glucose spike and crash cycle that leaves you raiding the pantry 2 hours after eating. Sardines make each meal act more like a slow-burn fuel source. Focus and mood often follow the same trend as hunger stabilization. When your brain has steady fuel and adequate omega-3 support, emotional reactivity can soften slightly. You may find it easier to stay on task, resist impulses, or simply feel less irritable. This is where many people start to feel something they weren't expecting, a sense of control. Not because someone is telling them what to do, but because their body is no longer driving them toward constant food urges. If you're finding this useful, this is a great moment to like this video and subscribe. Every week we put out content like this, evidence-aware, simple, practica, so you can make better decisions for your body without the confusion. Now let's keep going. By day 4, the changes start to show up in ways you can actually feel and see. Some people notice their face looks slightly less puffy. Clothes fit a little differently around the midsection. The morning heaviness, that slow, groggy feeling when you first wake up, may start to ease. These are small changes, but they are meaningful. They signal that your body's fluid balance is shifting, your gut is less inflamed, and your hormones are operating in a calmer environment. You may also simply feel lighter, not just physically, but mentally. The relentless background noise of food urges and energy crashes, quiets down. You're present in a way that's easy to notice, but hard to predict in advance. By day 5, something deeper has often taken root. Sleep quality sometimes improves when blood sugar is more stable overnight. Gut comfort is noticeably better for many people. Muscle recovery may be supported by the high-quality protein sardines deliver. And because magnesium, taurine, and B vitamins are all present in sardines, the nervous system has better raw material to work with. Stress tolerance may soften slightly. You don't necessarily feel invincible, but the edge comes off. Emotional reactivity is a little lower. Patience is a little higher. Small stressors that normally trigger an urge to eat often feel more manageable. Your gut microbiome is also adjusting. Less processed input means more stability in the microbial environment of your digestive tract. Many people find that the discomfort they thought was just how their stomach works was actually being driven by their food choices all along. Here is the most important thing this experiment can actually teach you. The biggest result from 5 days of sardines is not the scale. It is not the water weight. It is the feeling of being back in the driver's seat. When cravings quiet down, when hunger feels manageable, when your energy doesn't collapse at 3 p.m., you remember that your body is not your enemy. It's responding to inputs. And you can change those inputs. That feeling of control, that quiet, grounded confidence in your own choices is worth more than any single food change. And sardines, surprisingly, can be a doorway back to it. Before you try this, if you have a fish allergy, this is obviously not for you. If you have gout, kidney issues, thyroid concerns, a history of disordered eating, or are currently on prescription medication, please speak with your clinician before making significant dietary changes. This is a short-term educational exploration, not a medical prescription. Now drop a comment below and tell me, what's your biggest struggle with cravings or sticking to a simple eating routine? I read every single one. Subscribe if you want more honest, clear, practical health content. And if you enjoyed this, the next video is going to take this even further. You won't want to miss it.